Factory Track has the Warehouse Mobility module, which is essentially the scanner version of the transactions that are available for mainly inventory transactions. So I've got here the Factory Track app, and I'm now going to log into it. So I will scan my username and my password and click on sign in. And the system then says which configuration do you want to go into. This can be automated, but in this instance I'm selecting the configuration I want to use. Then displays the 9 submenus which contain the transactions that are available in Factory Track Warehouse Mobility. Going through each of these in turn, we have the inbound transactions. This covers the receipts, approvals, put away, receipt label print, ASN receipt, consignment receipt, and customer returns. Go back to the menu, and if we look at the inventory transactions, we can see that this covers the inventory transfer, the cycle count, physical inventory, the blocking and unblocking of lots, the global transfer, and then 3 inventory adjustments, a neutral one, a write-off, and a write-on. If I click on the inquiries, I can see I can do an item inquiry, a location inquiry, and print item labels. And look at the outbound transactions. Then I can see here I've got 2 flavors of picking, the picking transaction and the allocate release. The difference between the 2 transactions is I can only use the picking transaction if I have generated an outbound advice or a pick list from LN, and I can only use the allocate release if I have not generated an outbound advice or pick list in LN. Release outbound, shipment handling, and return from staging. Those are the 3 main submenus that we support. But if we go through the other ones briefly, we've got the packing, which allows us to perform all the packing transactions, so we can pack by order or by shipment. We can repack, we can seal and load, we can inquire upon it, and we can add an asset tag to a handling unit. We also have a series of handling unit transactions, which allow us to effectively create handling units, split handling units, link handling units, unlink them, close them, and inquire upon them. So a handling unit in LN terms is a pallet or a box. So this is all to do with manipulating inventory and putting them into boxes and taking them out of boxes. We also have some labor transactions. These really have been superseded by the shop floor module, but some customers still use this. The job booking transaction is the most crucial one there and allows people to start and stop jobs without using the shop floor module. We also have the production menu, which again has been superseded to a certain amount by the shop floor module, but it still allows you to report operations, report production, issue unplanned materials to a production order, to perform it as built maintenance, that's linking serial numbers to serial numbers, to return material, to report scrap and quarantine, to report byproducts, and to use the scan to book functionality, which is part of the automotive requirements. If I click on the More button, I can also use this to report repetitive, either quantities or time, and also for some assembly control purposes. Kanban is the Factory Track Kanban, which works either independent of or alongside the LN Kanban, where you can request it, you can deliver it, you can reset the Kanban, you can check its status, you can cancel it or reinstate it. And if you're using the Factory Track Kanban, you can use this to create the Kanban itself. You can also print the Kanban labels. Finally, we have some utilities which allow operators to change the warehouse they're working in, to change their default printer, to reprint labels, and to change the organization. In LN terms, the organization is the LN site. Device allocation and view message are transactions which are not widely used. So that is what the warehouse mobility menu looks like. So all the transactions that we support are subdivided into one or other of these 9 categories. And behind this screen that we've been looking at, what we can see here are the parameters which actually are used for each of those transactions. So if I look at the inbound transactions as an example, if we look at the receipts transaction, these are all the options that can be turned on. As we're working in LN, everything is by order type, so we can specify what our default order type is, and we can say whether we want to print labels and so on and so forth, and what labels we want to print. And now these are the power of the system. These are the parameters that can be set to determine how the transaction should work in this particular environment. So for instance, do you want to be able to filter by warehouse, or do you just want to see everything for all warehouses? Do you want to be able to enter the lot certificate code? Do you want to be able to flag it for inspection if it's not expecting inspection? Do you want to be able to enter the inventory date, or do you just want it to default to today? Do you want to be able to enter the receipt date, or do you want it to default to today? And so on and so forth. And perhaps most significantly is this put away. So if I turn that on, then what that means is that when I'm doing the receipt, it won't just put it into the receipt location in LN terms, but it will actually put it into a final location. So these are the parameters that every transaction has that can configure how the transaction should work. So let's see the value of these parameters. So I'm going to go into inbound transactions, go to the receipts transaction. As you can see, it pre-fills with the order type of purchase manual. Scan in my order number and hit the next button. So this displays this order has got 2 lines to receive, line 10 and line 20. So I'll just select the first line and click on next and specify how many I'm receiving. So I'm going to receive all 10. And if it came in and it looked to be damaged in any way, then I could perhaps take a picture of the receipt and actually attach it to it. So I'm going to click on the camera icon at the top and then take a picture of what I'm receiving and save it against the document. And now do the receipt. So I click on the submit. So it's created me a receipt. It hasn't done a put away. It hasn't asked me where I want to put it because I haven't turned that option on. But I can now print the labels and it says successful, and that has been received. So now if I go into LN again and have a look at this, refresh it, I should have a receipt here, which is for 10. And if I open up that receipt and go to the related documents, then I should see I have in IDM, I have my iPhone case in this case. So that is attached to the receipt. So it's REC 1866. So that was, I could have attached it to the order if I'd wanted to, but I defaulted it to the receipt number. So let's go back into here, and this time I'm going to turn the put away on. So now this means that I'm going to do exactly the same transaction, but this time when I do it, it's going to ask me where I want to put the item. So do the receipts again, scan in my order number, click on next. I won't take a picture this time, but I'm receiving 10 again. Okay, this is also lot controlled, so it asks me for a lot number. So I'll just put lot number in and hit submit. And now it's asking me for a location. So I can actually scan in the location I'm going to use, A001. I'm going to use the recommended location and do the submit. So exactly the same flow, but this time it has, and again, I can print 10 labels for it. And they're there. And now it takes me back to the screen because I've received all the lines, so I can actually go and receive the next order. So if we look at that back in LN terms, if I look at the warehouse order, so I've got 2 lines on there. If we look at the first line, then what we'll see is it's done the warehouse receipt step, but it hasn't generated the inbound device, hasn't put away the inbound device. If I look at the second line, go to its status overview, I can see, yes, it's done all 3 of those steps. So we're performing exactly the same steps as we would do if we were doing this in LN, but we're just doing it as an integrated transaction where the person who's performing the transaction doesn't know what an inbound device is. He doesn't care what it is. All he cares about is he's receiving these goods and he's putting them into A001. So as far as he's concerned, he's just putting it away. And in LN terms, that means he's generated the inbound device and put away the inbound device.